What's up everybody, and welcome to the SB Entertainment video channel. In this episode we're doing an overview of the DJ Control Compact by Hercules DJ. It's a portable and compact DJ controller that's USB powered, super lightweight without sacrificing on features and functionality. It's designed for the entry-level DJ market and DJs in general that's looking for a portable option in case they have events where they need a second setup that's easy to set up and take down, like in a wedding where you need a temporary setup for your cocktail hour or ceremony while your main rig is set up in the main hall. It's also a good option to let you program your set lists and formulate concepts in the comfort of your couch or desk without needing to use your full-sized rig. It has a very simple yet intuitive layout, and it comes with DJUCED 18 software for free. So right out of the box you get the DJ Control Compact controller, right? USB cable, quick start guide, and owner's guide detailing specs, warranty, and all that good stuff. So to get started, let's look at the controller's components, starting with an overview before we dig into the details. Here's what it looks like. Got your jog dial there, transport controls here. You got your trigger pads there. Mode allows you to select loop, effects, sample, and cue. A record button. Volume knobs. These are your EQ knobs. Medium, bass. Crossfader. And it repeats over here to the right side as well. Now the difference in buttons here. You'll see scratch and AutoMix here. Your shift button here. And the same volume knob there. So that's what it looks like. Let's go pan from right to left. Can't really tell if this surface is plastic or metal, but it has a nice textured feel to it. The jog dials are pretty bigger for a compact controller. The buttons have a nice tactile feel to it. Crossfader has the analog feel to it, but that's to be expected for compact controllers. The knobs are very robust. I like it. And again over here. So in the back of the controller, you have the DJ Control Compact logo. On the left side, you have the Hercules DJ logo. That's the USB to connect it to your laptop. And it works with Windows and Mac as well, just to let you know. Here's the front of the controller. And here's the right side. Bottom has these rubberized feet to keep from moving around. Very nice, compact, and light. Let's set this up, plug it into the laptop. Let's look at the features. So let's look into the details, the components of this DJ controller, starting with the jog dial. So the jog dial has a scratch feature when the scratch button is activated, right here. It allows you to emulate scratches similar to when you're playing with vinyl, DVS, or some of the higher end controllers. Now let me emphasize that it's similar, but not exactly as accurate. There is some latency in the DJUCED 18 software that's noticeable to an experienced DJ, but to a novice it's negligible. For an entry-level controller like this, not being able to scratch accurately should be expected. Other portable controllers like the Numark DJ2Go 2 has a similar setback, so set your expectations accordingly and be aware of the controller's limitations. One thing that you would notice with this controller's design is that it doesn't have a pitch fader. Typically it'll be here on the sides, and not having one allows the jog dial to be a bit more bigger and more comfortable to work with. Don't worry though, the jog dial works as a pitch fader when holding down the shift button. And if you see here in our screen, you could adjust the pitch or the tempo of the song that's playing. While the audio is playing, the jog dial works as a pitch bend when the scratch feature is deactivated. And if the audio is not playing, it works as a needle search. And basically, needle search allows you to search through the whole song's wavelength at a faster pace while using your controller instead of using your mouse and your cursor to look for a specific part of the song. Let's move on to the transport controls. These buttons right here in the bottom. So you have sync, cue, and your pause and play buttons. Sync allows you to match the BPM of the channel to the opposite channel's BPM, or beats per minute. It's a feature that allows you to match or synchronize your mix quick and automatically without the need to use the jog dial to do it manually. The cue button lets you set your cue points. That'll be part of the song where you want to start playing. In this case, your cue or cue points can also be triggered using your trigger pads that we'll cover later. So when you press your trigger pad, it starts exactly where you want it to start. Now, speaking of trigger pads, you got 8 in total, right? So there are 4 on each channel, and they function off of 4 different modes. You have loop, effects, sample, and cue. So let's start with the loop. To get to the loop, you press mode and press the trigger pad number 1, you can see up there. To get to the effects, trigger pad 2, lights up the effects. 3 gets to the sample before it goes to cue. So let's start with loop. The software's auto loop feature lets you set loop lengths from 1 bar, 2 bar, 4 bar, and 8 bar using your trigger pads. But you can go all the way up to 16 bars using the software. You can do manual loop in and loop out as well, and even do a loop split through the software right here, where you can extract and split the loop into 4 samples. Just to show you guys what I mean by breaking it down to 1, 2, 4, or 8 bars, let's go and play the intro of this song, and then we'll start the auto loop using the trigger pads. So that's 1 bar. It's looping that 1 bar where I selected it. So that's 2 bars. So that's 4 bars. Now we're going to make it to 8. And we could drop it back down to 1 bar. The effects feature. Effects can be triggered individually or layered. Effects are assignable to each channel's trigger pad. And there are also 10 effect options for you to choose from. They're echo, flanger, reverb, chorus, auto-wah, compressor, rotate, high pass, and low pass. Holding the shift and turning either of these EQ knobs allows you to control the 2 effects parameters, the dry, wet, and the saturation parameters. So just to give you a quick overview on what it sounds like, the effects are listed here. So by default, you have the echo, flanger, reverb, and chorus. So let's have this loop play. And then we'll hit mode and then 2 to highlight effects. And then to start with echo. And then let's change the parameters. As you can see it changing in the screen there. then let's trigger the flanger. Change the parameters also. Do the reverb or reverb and chorus. And you could actually layer them by triggering, you know, whatever effects you want. And if you also want to change the 4 that's preset here, you just have to click through the software and select the one that you want to assign. Next mode we're going to look at is sample. So sample, in this mode you're able to trigger up to 4 samples with your trigger pads. So by default it is set to trigger the software's drum samples, but you can also record your own samples to trigger. The sampler feature you could open up here, and these are the 4 samples here. You have snare, kick, ride, hi-hat. You could trigger them here, or and the response is very good. And I like the trigger pads. They feel like more, you know, like the Akai pads. Like I said, there's a record feature here, so you can record your own sample and then trigger it, you know, on your own. Now, speaking of this sampler, you could also use your samples and plug it into its built-in sequencer, similar to the Roland DJ controllers. So you have your hi-hat, kick, ride, snare here. You know, you could plug in a hi-hat trigger at every beat. Then we could do the kick. Let's do the snare. So you get the picture. So you have a built-in sequencer with this, even though it's an entry-level controller. Last mode we're going to look at is cue. In this mode, you're able to trigger your cue points, and pressing the trigger pad once saves the cue point to that trigger pad, while holding down Shift and that trigger pad again deletes the saved cue point from the trigger pad. So just to show you guys. So now we're triggering this song. So these are cue points that I assigned prior to starting the video. So let's say in the beginning of the song, I want, you know, trigger pad number 1 to start the song. And if I wanted to change to that, I'll just hold Shift, press that again. Now it's no longer lit, so that means pad number 1 doesn't have a cue point assigned to it. So let's reassign that because I want to start from the beginning. And now it's blue again. So now let's look at these volume knobs. So each channel has its own separate volume knob, and they work like traditional channel faders. So if you pay attention to the Juiced 18 software screen there, it actually controls the channel fader. Some call it the up fader. All right, so you see it moving the fader up there. Now the master volume and the cue volume is controlled by the software. So the master volume is there, and then your gains are there, and then here's how you would listen to it. If you were to cue it, you use the software, not the actual controller. Auto gain can be turned on via the software, and this will be helpful in keeping your source output consistent during your mixes. You don't want your track playing here and it's it's kind of low, and then you hit the next track and it's super loud. Now the mix is not going to sound right. Your auto gain feature over here can be controlled by the software, and it'll do auto gain controls for you, so you don't have to worry about it while you're mixing. Next up is the 2-channel EQ. So the top knob is labeled medium, and that controls the mid and the high frequencies. The bottom knob is labeled bass, and that controls your low frequencies. These knobs, as you've seen, can also control the effects parameters when holding down shift right here when the effects mode is selected in your trigger pad right there. Now let's look at the crossfader. The crossfader is very responsive. Has a software controlled fader curve, and the 4 options they have when changing the settings are mix, scratch, hamster, and custom. So mix has a slower response curve, allowing for smoother transitions in your mix. Scratch has a faster response curve that allows you to punch in the opposite channel's output to the mix faster. And the hamster feature is the same responsiveness as the scratch mode, except the channels are reversed. So when your crossfader is on the right, traditionally you would hear the right channel's audio output, but in hamster mode it's actually switched. Custom allows you to customize your fader curve to your liking, and the crossfader does have a standard size, making it comfortable to use, and I like that a lot. And though it does have a basic analog feel, it's okay because the controller isn't designed for turntablism. Next up to look at, AutoMix. Right there. The AutoMix feature basically works off of the playlist and mixes songs seamlessly, but not necessarily matches the BPMs. You can override the BPM to match by pressing the sync buttons, right? If that's what you're looking to do. So you could just create a playlist, dump the list of songs that you want to do there. Maybe it's a cocktail hour, you just want to do some ambient music playing in the background. Hit auto mix and it'll mix it seamlessly. Like I said, won't match it by BPM, but if you just want a continuous non-stop mix of the songs in that playlist, then you'll just do that. Then you'll be able to go back and check on your main setup in the main hall, or hit the bar, hit the bathroom, look at your tux, whatever it may be. Lastly, we're going to look at the record button right there. DJUCED 18 allows you to record your set so you can listen to your progress as you build up your skill set as a DJ, or you can publish your mixes to SoundCloud direct from your software. Once you save your mixes to your local hard drive, you can even publish them in your social media accounts as a type of a calling card per se. So some higher end software, for their entry-level controllers that they support, they don't have the record functionality. Meanwhile, in the DJ Control Compact, it's even built in to the software and the controller itself. So that's a quick overview of the DJ Control Compact by HERCULES DJ. Let's look at the pros and the cons. So pros, it's ultra portable, lightweight and compact. It's USB powered. You don't need any external power for it. No extra cabling required. It comes with its free DJUCED 18 software, which is feature packed with functionalities aspiring DJs would need and veteran DJs can appreciate. The software has a built-in sequencer and samples you've seen. It allows for MIDI mapping customization also, skin customization if you want the layout to look slightly different, and it has a record functionality that some other professional DJs don't even allow you unless you're paying for the higher upscale version of their software. It's compatible with Virtual DJ and Tractor. Simple and easy to set up. All you need is your laptop, your music library, and you'll be mixing in no time. It has a good sized jog dial and trigger pads, and the hardware build is robust. The tactile feel is on par with the more expensive controllers even. Now let's look at the downside. Scratching isn't seamless in this controller, so the software latency is prevalent when releasing the jog dial before the audio continues playing. But overall, I can't find any major flaw to the software that will prevent anyone from performing exceptionally well right out of the box. So just to show you guys what I mean by that, so let's do a quick play in the intro and then I'll try to scratch, and you'll see the slight delay when I let go of the jog dial. So it's very slight. To a novice, you'll barely notice it. And to these type of controllers, that is really very negligible. You're not going to be getting into this controller as a turntablist to begin with. You're going to be mixing and learning the fundamentals. So not a big deal, not really a deal breaker. Another downside to this is it doesn't have a headphone jack for auditioning or cueing the next song. Since it doesn't have an internal sound card, you'll have to get an external sound card that allows you to split the audio for cueing and mixing. I found one online at Amazon, and I could plug in the link here so you could take a look at it. It's made by Soul Dial. Lastly, it's not compatible with Serato DJ. I tried, but the software doesn't recognize the device and it doesn't work. So overall, it's a great portable DJ controller, compact with a good quality build. Comes with a feature-packed and easy-to-use software that will get you mixing with the least amount of learning curve to overcome. At the price point of less than $100, this entry-level controller is a viable option for both novice and veteran DJs alike. So that concludes our overview and review of the DJ Control Compact DJ Controller by Hercules DJ. I hope you guys found this video informative and helpful in your quest to find your next micro DJ controller. I'm your host and resident DJ Rob Outcast for the SB Entertainment video channel. Please subscribe for more unboxing video and reviews, and if you've already done so, thanks for your support. Rob Outcast signing out. Peace.